what I want. A lot. Don't get that vision out of here. Okay, welcome to the October 2014 Omaha Linux Users Group. I am John Larson, a system engineer at the AIM, not AIM Institute. I'm dating myself. How many years have I seen? How's it work? Dessert? Yes, that's correct. I'm pretty expensive date. You know, date minus 30 on the command line, 30 days. So.
It's all downhill from here.
It's been a fun September, as our presentation will soon discuss. I saw that 3.17, the new kernel came out on Sunday. Yeah, so it was supposed to be delayed a week, but it wasn't. Or no, he wanted to release it a week early because he was going on vacation. But now he has to push the merge window back for the next stuff. So we get 17 out now. Should be some interesting changes. I haven't had a chance to read through them, partially because I'm going to school as well as working technically 2 jobs. So, any news from you guys about what you may have seen or heard in the Linux world?
Nothing we can talk about.
Of course, nothing you can talk about. We'd have to kill everybody. I mean, it's a Google product we're using. It'll probably just automatically disappear.
We were making it effective for this. Had a couple machines.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Novia.
Novia?
Yes.
Oh, that's some.
We're trying to track down all these machines that correct.
I thought, aren't you BSD?
Mid-4 releases of FreeBSD.
Oh. I just started rolling my own patches. So like, it was, oh, there's another one. Get.
And unfortunately, the sources for the older versions are hard to come by. And the sites are really busy. So
Older than 3.1?
no, like 4.11.
Oh, BSD. Okay. Yeah, on one machine. Well, we'll talk about it when I get into that when Nick gets into it. Oh, Fedora Alpha has come out for 21. Woo! A year in the making almost. So if you're looking forward to the new one that's coming soon, it'll be a great Christmas present or Happy New Year, depending upon whether they delay a week, and another week, and another week. So, CentOS 5.11 is out, if you didn't know that. That shipped right after some events that we're going to talk about, which led to some interesting patches. 7 is still out. I have not seen a 32-bit build right now. It looks like it's going to stay 64. So.
I interviewed somebody today that his comment when we asked what OSs has he used, death to the 32-bit OSs. Wow, that's passion.
So does he have a 64-bit iPhone or something?
No, he was all over. He uses his distro of choice is Crunchbang.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm like, really? I wrote that one down. Like it's spelled? He's like, no. It's like, shh. Not use pencil.
So you don't want to use Kali Linux?
What's that?
Kali Linux. It's a security distro.
This is like the normal.
That are all online.
I just wanted to touch that. According to, the screen's going to go into search mode. I saw a chart the other day that was showing popularity of Linux distributions. And Ubuntu is finally falling down below Arch.
Oh, Arch?
Is it Arch? I think it was Arch. Or mint, I can't remember.
Right, man. Probably not the same.
Okay. Yeah, it's like,
Why aren't they that popular right now? Yeah,
it's got a lot of, I mean, it's Debian based as well, so. I've seen a lot of ARM processor builds for the Arch stuff. Like the Pogo plug and some other things. Yeah, they really kind of cornered the market on them. Okay, Nate Mesh is going to talk about the bash.
About white screens.
Oh, white screens.
Woohoo!
This is not compatible.
It doesn't, unfortunately.
Would you like me to hold person up for you?
To VGA.
Yeah, mention. I think I do as well,
Grab the wrong cable.
but I don't know if I have,
I don't have a VGA.
I don't know if I've got a,
Nope.
Sorry.
Didn't mean to teach you.
So you're talking about Fedora 21. I upgraded and now I can't use LibreOffice. And so we're going off of a PDF.
oh
That's the whole
no!
Fedora experience. So my name's Nate Benish. I work for the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. I'm a software architect. So I actually come from the programming side, so I'm from the analogy side of things.
Do you know Rex Stater?
I do, yeah.
Yay!
Yep.
He's a
also
member.
a Fedora fan.
Because he is the KDE guy.
I'm really grateful to have him on campus because he maintains a mirror.
I use
$2
the mirror
ceremony.
a lot.
So anyway, I wanted to talk about the, I guess you're calling it Shellshock, which is the rash and bash bugs we've had about the past month. There's been 6 CVEs so far. It's like there might be another one. Is what it sounded like? I don't know. So you can watch and kind of see how it develops. This is not awkward development. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what Shellshock is and what it looks like, kind of talk about some of the CVEs that were issued right away.
That looks like a green logo for like idiocracy or something.
It's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle logo.
Okay, good. That's what I'm saying. God, that looks familiar. Why does it look like great marketing? Okay.
Like it's
I just read the title.
So we started out with CVE 2014-6271, which if you're not a robot or you don't spend your whole day in Blender, this is what I got. So new batch 343 processes trailing screens, blah, 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 blah. This is the part that matters. Arbitrary code execution, that's always a bummer. That's bad. My transitions were way cooler when I had like PowerPoints.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. I can use mine.
Instead, I was reading on and I thought, well, that's kind of funny. It says bash through 4.3. It doesn't say which version it started with. Because normally when you look at this, it's like, okay, Nginx bug 147 through 149. It just says through 4.3. So that's funny. Maybe I should research this a little bit more. My main transitions. That's a pretty good version. So this is from the changelog of bash 1.0.3. Brian Fox was the original maintainer. Says Saturday, August 5th, 1989. That's when he wrote the initial function we called initialize shell variables, which caused this whole mess to begin with. Yeah, so it's been hanging out in your production system since 1989.
I was like 2 years old then.
I was not around then, actually.
Almost 2 years old.
I did not go to admit what age it was.
So I have some cool transitions, but oops. So it was announced the 24th September. I think the coordinated release was like 2 p.m. UTC. We said, yep, it's patched, we're good, awesome, safe, time to go home, pat ourselves in the back. Distro packages are out, everything's good. And GIFs
It's supposed to be animated GIFs?
Yeah.
Okay, we already have it.
So sad. So then people start to talk, maybe the patch is not complete. Maybe there's a couple edge cases where it doesn't. This is the first guy that actually spoke out publicly, and it's pretty well publicized. I mean, there's like 500 tweets, which is a lot for a sysadmin tweet. So there was a quick follow-up issue, I think yet that same day. Exists because of incomplete fix for 6271. Oops. And then it keeps going on. So that was the first two. This is the third. Failure properly parse memory functions arbitrary access. This one, they fixed it so good, some of the built-in bash functions actually stopped working. So that was kind of cool. This one, there was a bug in the original Yak grammar that described like the bash syntax. And you're getting stack overflows. You get like an array that just kept expanding and expanding. Just kind of a bummer.
I got one of those with my 3D printer recently.
And if you're paying attention, these have all been 10 so far. You can see SSDL. So 7187, yet another denial of service in the parser. Supposed to be fixed, was not fixed in the patch. And then they had this great rollout. Turns out we didn't fix 6271, 7169, or 6277. But it's fixed this time, we promise. This is September 30th is when this was issued. It was a level 10, and as far as we know, this is the last patch that's out in a while.
What is this, Mojang?
I'm looking at the Google guide. I'm wondering if it's going to be like some secret mind trick. No mind tricks.
He taught it.
Okay.
I mean, only developers I know of that are this bad at patching bugs are Mojang.
Well, there's a kind of a reason. So,
Yeah. Is it Mojang or Mojang?
Some people pronounce it Mojang, some
it depends if you're Swedish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought this is kind of funny. This is the Git repository of bash. There's like 6 patches in 6 days, which is normally like 3 months of development. Oops.
At least in the patch files themselves, they have the attribution to the person who did the patch. So like if you're looking through like the whole commit history, you can see the same person's name for many years, then boom, 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 there's several other people.
Yeah, that's very nice. And she had questions as we're going, because this is kind of a discussion. There's just a couple people here. So this is the original proof of concept that kind of got spread far and wide. So the idea is you run this in a shell, and if you're vulnerable, this prints and then this prints. If you're safe, then you only get this. You shouldn't get any errors, you shouldn't get anything. You should just get this is a test. So what's actually going on here? Because this is really cool looking, but it's kind of cryptic. So I have an imaginary bash terminal. Because along with everything else that Fedora 21 broke, it also broke my terminal settings. So my color settings are all messed up right now. So we're going to go with this. So let's define a function called OLUG. And when we call it, it's going to echo out OLUG is awesome. Perfect. So let's run it. Let's define it. And we run it. And we say, hey, look, OLUG is awesome. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say, I'd like to take this function and call it from a child process. This is bash, spawn a child process, and execute this command, and then just return. Be done. So all right, I have no idea what you're talking about right now. You've never defined that in the context of this child process. So bash has this really great function where you can pass internal variables to a child process. So let's export it. And then let's try and execute it. So it takes some bets with this work. What happens when I execute this thing here?
It should display.
Should display it, yeah. So, and it does, kind of like we expect. Yay! Woo! That works, cool. Imagine this is the best demo ever.
It's very successful so far.
Yeah, and so now,
There's no demo fail. I mean,
right. So now you get to thinking, there's a fixed API, right, that bash uses to launch this child process. How is it stuffing this extra information, this function, down to that child process? So now you get wondering, I wonder what's in here. So if you look at your environment variables right now in that parent process, you get this function. And what it actually is there's a line break right here, and then there's an ending brace for this function. So it's actually passing an environment variable called OLUG, and here's the parameters. That's how it gets the child process. So now you start to think clever. Google hacker, Google images, like, I don't know, like apparently computer hacking, wherever they're at, it must be really cool, like Russia or something maybe.
Well, they got Red Bull.
Your hacking skill is determined by the number of climbers you have.
Oh, he's got a Mac.
But I got
This guy's terrible.
They all have Macs.
That guy only has one screen, he's got to be terrible.
Oh, he's green though. He's a green hack.
He's cool too, I think.
He's linked, he's hacking the enemy's servers.
I know that could be Mark Zuckerberg. He likes to do this.
So let's go back to the imaginary bash prompt. So this is a fresh prompt, so I haven't defined the function yet. No tricks up my database. So we're going to define it. We're going to do it a little differently. Let's just try and manually create that environment variable from before. So environment, OLUG, we'll define the function, and then I'm going to execute bash. Pretty much the same as before, I just did one line because I didn't have to cover space. So what happens? Right here, well. So now I have this child process, and if I execute OLUG, I get OLUG is school, which is awesome because that's what I specified right here. So let's start over. A little bit pretty clever. So starting over, commands undefined. So we're going to do something a little bit different the second time. So here we are, we're doing the line define that environment variable. Here's the function, but then I'm going to add a training space. I stuffed in a second command there. And then I'm going to start the child process. So it's going to inherit all these environment variables.
Is the semicolon part of that too? Semicolon space or
Here?
yeah, it's like
This one is not required. If you get away with it, it just made it easier to read when I put the line up. Okay, so. Any other questions as I go along? Yikes. So when I spawned that child process, this just printed out all by itself, which is funny because it's not part of the function I defined. So what that tells us is the way that this actual function is getting passed through is that the interpreter is just willy-nilly executing environment variables to load them into the shell, which is the expected behavior, right? That's how you define an environment variable. That's an easy way to define it. So the question is, what criteria would we use to define a function versus just a regular environment variable? So as I'm the bash interpreter starting up this child process, how do I know what I should load in as a function and what I should load in as just a regular variable? Obviously. And so yeah, OLUG still works. It didn't break the earlier functions. That's good. At least OLUG is still cool. Yeah, that's pretty scary. We just arbitrarily execute some code. All we have to do is create an environment variable. We can have whatever we want to have. So this is actually from the source of the bash interpreter. What they're doing is, this is a giant case statement I linked here, we can pull it up. What we're saying is string, the environment variable value, starts with close brace, which is a function signature. Then we're going to execute some special logic. In this case, we're going to handle it like it's a function instead of like an environment variable. This is an issue. This is the code that was introduced in 1989 that I said hadn't been touched since 1989. And actually, a researcher from the Academy noticed this. A guy whose name I'm not remembering this one. So that's kind of how it works. That's where the bug got introduced.
Well, because of the lack of a closing error trace?
No, because we don't check to see what introduced this function. So as long as I can get this string at the beginning of an environment variable, it's going to be interpreted as a function when I pass it to the child process. So I can define an arbitrary environment variable just by saying env equals or set or export. Actually, I think only export. I don't think you can do set and bash. That might be wrong. But all I have to do is say export, create an environment variable, and start it with this. So now you say, oh, that's no big deal. He needs a shell, right? Well, here's the problem. A lot of common web applications take the parameters, request parameters from HTTP request, and stuff that into the environment. before you execute the process, before you spawn PHP or your CGI script or a lot of other things without giving away the second half of this. So that's the issue. So what are clever ways I could remotely get that string into some of these environment variables? Here's the risk. Obviously CGI scripts, right? Anything that lets people from the internet run shell scripts, probably any values pairs. Server-side includes also obviously values pairs. What about your app? So take a look at some of the apps running in production. I took this line of Python code. This is a quiz. Looks pretty safe. So how many guys have any programming experience outside of shell scripting? Cool.
I haven't done anything since like 90.
No worries. So let me go over it. So what we're saying is make a syscall. We're going to call this specific executable. We're going to pass this flag, and then we're going to execute this command. So what we're saying is bash-c my binary, and then plug that in. So this looks pretty safe. There's no user input here, right? I mean, nobody's going to be able to inject anything on the command prompt because it's all specified. It's hard coding. So it seems pretty safe. Here's the problem. What about your container? So this could be WSGI, this could be LAC, this could be Apache doing mod PHP or mod JK, for Java. This isn't from the actual source of the interpreter that spawns the child processes from the web. So it says args bin-sh-c, the spawn child process, and then the args, which you just got from the syscall that I just showed you, and builds it up. Say, all right, bin-sh, we are safe. This only affects bash. Go home, drink my coffee, drink a beer, whatever. There's a problem. I don't even know if you guys know this, but you probably do. You're not smart. Is that legal? Yeah, just about every modern system. SH is similar to bash. So pretty much every programming language that makes a syscall now inherited this bash security vulnerability. So just became a really big deal. So then you have to think about things like exactly how much you trust your developers. Like, so they said they were safe. They only passed static strings before they executed things. That's still a problem. The other thing that's really scary about this is that it won't get picked up in a standard covariety scan. It's completely happy with passing things to a syscall as long as they're statically defined, as long as they can't be changed to user input. They'll just keep on going on. So your code analysis won't notice this bug. That's what's scary. So do you trust your developers? Probably not. Do you think in the next 2 weeks you're going to be able to audit all of your code and find this issue? Probably not. Well, I can't. So maybe a better idea is to look at how we can mitigate this on that side. There's a lot of really common things. So mod security. Red Hat published some great rules that let you filter that out at the edge so it doesn't get into your application servers. I should back up. Obviously, definitely upgrade bash first. That should be step number 0. At least on your edge boxes, if not on your core. If you can't do your application server right now, at least do it on the load balancers for your terminating connections. So mod security, IP tables. There's actually a recipe out there for IP tables that mostly seems to fix it. There's like a 1 in a million chance that if a gzipped file, if the binary signature of that happens to look like that signature we mentioned earlier, it might not work. But 99.999% of the time, IP tables should block it. There's not going to be too many false positives. Also, you guys should have some sort of gateway at the edge of your network, kind of filtering things as they come in. Barracuda, Sophos, Microsoft, they all have this patch. In just a couple hours where they already had a patch, so they released it in the embargo. So that's a really simple way. It's something you should be doing anyway. So then let's look at the application server side. What are some other things that we can be doing before the next bash run? Your application should really run, first of all, in a true, or if you're Team BSD, probably in jail. I want to talk about containers. containers may not be quite the way you want to go yet, but definitely you should have that true jail. SE Linux is also a great thing. Make sure you're really watching what that process is allowed to do. App is out there too, but SE Linux is a lot better. So it's probably gonna make trouble with that.
Only from the Susie folks.
This is also a really good time to make a case for configuration management. Bespoke servers. Another term I think the DevOps guys, Unix servers, where you wait a long time and then you build this thing up like chiseling by hand from scratch with these beautiful shell scripts. It's going to be really hard to go find all those boxes and make sure they're the correct version of Bash. So it's a really good excuse to make to your boss, like right now, and say, hey, if we had been doing something like, a Puppet, a Chef, or any other configuration management, maybe I could have spent 20 minutes upgrading my boxes instead of spending 3 days. So it's probably something you already know you should be doing, but really big public issues like this give us as systems administrators a really great opportunity to make a case for all the
Gives you a much bigger stick.
It is a much bigger stick. That's an excellent analogy. Yeah. And others, I'm really curious to hear about what you guys are working on, aside from things already mentioned. Is there anything I left out of here that was really obvious? Okay, cool.
So there was a patch on Sunday
There was a patch on Sunday, yeah.
that they did put out. Didn't really have, that's the problem with their patches, they don't put the CVE numbers in the patches. So this was by yet another individual patching, but it looked like it covered a lot of the stuff.
I think,
But I don't think it's
I think
whole,
that one just cleaned up the
Yeah.
earlier patch.
because it was touching a bunch of the same files that other people's had worked on, so.
Yeah. So kind of backing up, he was talking about the big comprehensive patch. The fix that they ended up going with is they said, all right, anytime we're going to pass a function through to a child process, what we're going to do is we're going to take and ahead of the name of the variable and after the name of the variable, we're going to put a random string. That way, at least it's going to be really hard for somebody to guess what to mean things. And that should guard the function getting passed. Seems like it'll work. Another great fix that I really liked was the OpenBSD guys, because they're not shy about ever breaking reverse compatibility. They're like, oh, maybe we'll just disable child processes, or passing functions to child processes. So that's the approach they took. There are patches out there for Bash. Actually, there's whole separate repositories out there now. They're tracking Bash that have disabled passing functions to child processes. Maybe something you can look at in an organization. Maybe that causes problems for you. Maybe it doesn't. But there's definitely more issues with this going forward, I think. So I covered all those really quick. I did kind of want to talk about, it wasn't so much in the slides, but the history of this in the wild. It was kind of funny. About a day after the original patch came out, the original CVE was announced, there weren't many attacks in the wild of Linux. What actually started it was a gentleman by the name of Rob Grant. And on his blog, he posted his recipe for scanning the entire internet for the existence of Bash. You guys are not going to be using this. Well, turns out shortly after, somebody enterprising figured out I could take that same tool and scan the whole internet and see what I could do. So there's a couple examples. There are people downloading a modified Nginx binary and starting that up, reloading Nginx. There was another great example of just basic CNC stuff. And then there was like the Good Samaritans. We saw a couple of these in our logs where it was like disk upgrade, bash, reboot. So I don't know. Say what you want about that.
Okay.
There's a-
Probably make the data banana.
That'd be great. I like that.
There's an OLUG person who's on the list on their Twitter account. They've changed their name to being the exploit with rm-rf/. So, because some people use a bash-based Twitter client.
Another really unexpected exploit if you're on a hostile network. DH client will just arbitrarily run things that
Yes.
gets back to the DHCP server. Shell script. Oh, let's execute it. Let's see what happens.
So
that's
yeah,
one that
you gotta be
showed
careful
on,
of that too.
Wi-Fi networks. Hostile Wi-Fi networks.
So I've seen the argument, and that's one of your opinion on this, that people passing functions and ultimately not just an input to child processes were using bash. I mean, what do you think? What were your thoughts?
Sure. So the question he asked, I don't know if they can pick it up on the internet. So the question he asked was, what do I think of the idea, just fundamentally, of using bash to pass internal variables and functions to child processes? I think there's certainly a lot of convenience you get. I mean, speaking as a programmer, it's really nice to be able to spawn child processes, especially if I have a master that's like, if I'm sitting as a C process on the master and I'm dispatching requests and again multiple sockets. I really enjoy being able to pass all of my configuration to the children. But speaking as somebody who, I've looked through bash source code, I've looked through this, and I'm no expert, but it comes with a lot of problems. And there's certainly a lot better ways that we can manage that. So I would say that definitely it's something we shouldn't be doing, but it's something that's still widespread.
There's a lot of scripts that are written since 1989 that probably use those
It's too big to fit on.
capabilities.
If I'm using Linux on my desktop, not really using it as a server, will my distro have a patch net for this, or do I need to worry about this?
If you're running a mainstreamish distro and it's relatively recent, you should have a patch for this already if you're up to date. Just all the CentOS-based ones or Debian-based ones, they all have patches. Arch and Gentoo have patches. I can't speak for SUSE, I'm assuming they do because they're creators. And then there are.
Well, SUSE has a pretty good. Their build factory is really pretty good. So if they didn't produce one, there was enough people probably producing one for it.
Yeah, and I was actually just about to mention the SUSE build factory. So if you're running an older Shell or if you're running an older Fedora, if you go onto the build factory, there's packages going all the way back to like Fedora 8 and I think Fedora 3. So that's definitely an option out there for systems that aren't supported anymore. And there are PPAs that distro we don't talk about that take the bash code all the way back to 6 months on. So it's definitely an option on the table.
So OpenBSD doesn't typically have bash, does it?
It does typically have that.
It does. Okay. Oh, that's right. Okay.
So another question I expected to get was, what about embedded devices like routers, modems, all those other great devices that just kind of hang out in your network and don't get noticed?
Kind of depends.
Yeah. So what's really common on those is, at least on the consumer routers, they don't run bash to begin with. They either run hash or they run BusyBox, and so it's not a problem in fix. But again, it's really easy to check, right? You know, that script. If you Google it, it actually comes up now in the knowledge graph. It comes up right at the top boxes, how to test for bash codes. Yeah.
Which one? Oh.
There are some Staro boxes. You guys do the self-hosted Staro UTM behaviors.
So PF Sense had an update come out recently too.
I'm not running anymore, so.
Okay. But in class, we have, in our class environment, we have PF Sense. It's our firewall and stuff. So.
PF Sense was effective.
Was
At
it?
least right away.
Yeah, for sure. So is FreeNAS.
Yep.
You talked about some of the mitigation techniques on the perimeter of your network. What are those doing? Are those doing string analysis to look for this? Is that all different?
Pretty much, yeah.
So I ended up doing a whole lot of that. So, putting in a patch.
That's what I remember reading about some of those test rules is you can look for it, but it may change the length of the string and then your test doesn't work.
We actually ran into that with tables quite a few. Like a 1 in a million shot that after you use the string, it happens to look like.
We've seen it happen. Luckily, machines would patch. So,
Has anybody tried, I wonder if anybody's tried obfuscated code casting? Because well, I don't know if you've seen how they do that with JavaScript. Where it's all compacted in, you can't read the thing.
Or they change the character encoding.
Yeah, and you have to, because that was typically how they would get into a server, is they do this big base64 decode at the footer on a WordPress site or Joomla site, and then it would just expand out and the browser would hit it. We had one that was similar to that, where it would only show if it was a search engine. If it was regular people, you wouldn't see it, because they're trying to get the numbers higher. That was many years ago. I did my own patch rolling for an old Fedora box that we have to keep around. And luckily, considering that Scent is very similar to versions of Fedora at specific times, you could take a Scent package and recompile it on Fedora box. The SUSE box that we had luckily had a compiling environment on it. But then I tried to cross-compile down to 32-bit, and it wasn't having that. So I actually found the SUSE archive and downloaded the DVD install in VirtualBox just as a build environment to build Bash. So that's staying around for a while until I know that things are okay. And it's only like 1 or 2 boxes, so it's
Wait for a little dust to settle.
yeah. Well, they're slated to be replaced in the next 6 months anyway. It's just the schedule of how things are going.
You're feeling really adventurous. So when I went spelunking for that original changelog, I actually found the source code for Bash 1.0.3. It still compiles. And if you're on a system without SE/Linux, it still runs. So if you're feeling adventurous, you want to like run an old shell day at work, that's really way to go.
It's probably got less problems in it. Less, because they've really kind of expanded out the functionality of it. I wonder if that's how some of the shells work. Because you know how they have the Linux family tree, where it shows the Unix family tree, where it shows all the branches of the different Unixes. I'm wondering if the early versions of Bash spawned other versions based upon different version numbers, like the 1.0 that wasn't affected. Maybe they made another shell like Ash or something based off that, just to go back. I don't think anyone's ever done that research. Interesting to know.
I just know that FreeBSD doesn't point to SH.
It points to,
Or SH doesn't point to Bash.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
oh,
the-
it's still the
It's an
traditional.
actual binary. So, those versions of FreeBSD do not have the part of
Ah,
yeah, 411.
okay.
It's like, they didn't have it. So it's all,
We got some old BSD boxes.
yeah, I had one version for
3,000 years, 3,000 days, 4,000 years.
the hard drive had died.
It's still running?
The machine was still.
Hey, it's just running port to port. It's just moving data, right?
You could log in, but if you ran a command, it would freeze the shell.
Oh.
You could log in.
You can stand inside, but don't touch or look at anything.
P.S.
Okay.
Any more questions for Nate?
That's cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
That is impressive. Laid out perfectly.
We didn't notice that John was looking at his watch.
Yeah.
Timing.
Isn't there a mute on this thing?
Why is it talking?
Computer. Oh, It blacks me out on the screen. So,
Oh, when you're back with it like that.
yeah,
You use
yeah.
shadow.
Shadow itself, is that the store is wasting.
Your number of ISIS.
Sure. So I don't know how many machines people had to patch. I think I did maybe 50, 60. Times like this, CSSH is your friend. I don't know how many people know about what that is. Cluster SSH. So you just put in like CSSH in all your machines and it opens all these shells up. Gives you one command prompt, you just type it and it does it on all. So CSSH, Cluster SSH, it's a wonderful tool. It's a nice thing to have in your toolbox. So remember that. Compiling things is always kind of nice to do. Compiling an RPM is pretty easy. Once you have the development environment in, it's just -- rebuild. RPM build, -- rebuild and that, and then you get the new version. It's just that simple. You shouldn't have to really muck with it too much as long as it's new enough. It may do things like, well, you need this version of this devel, or this version of this devel, but you can usually find an older version from there. Taking off, Joe?
On the ball.
Oh, okay. We'll leave the light on for you.
It's always on.
I'm sure he's had enough coffee already. So, normally there's SIG beer. I won't be able to go tonight. But I think they are open, right? So people can still meet there tonight. Next month, we may have to find somewhere else to go, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know if there's a vote. Actually, you know what? I'll end the video and then we can vote. So, if you're out there watching and you want to do a video talk to me. I'm on the list. Thank you. See you in November. Don't look, that's my face like Teen Beat magazine.